Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to Happy Hours of Coaching session. I know it has been a long time since I came on a happy hour of coaching, and the reason was I was traveling. So I was in Kathmandu just a couple of weeks back for the regional Scrum gathering where I presented a topic in the regional Scrum gathering Kathmandu, and that's why there was some travel involved, and that's why these sessions were not happening for a couple of weeks. But now we are back again on 6th of May with another interesting topic, which is how to grow from a Scrum Master to an Agile coach. And during my conversations as a coach, many of the Scrum Masters tell me, you know what, that we are unable to move beyond the role of a Scrum Master. We go in for interviews, we go in for discussions, but somehow we are stuck in that Scrum Master role, and we are not really able to progress much beyond this role. And so I thought that I would take a topic on this: what it takes to move from a Scrum Master role to an Agile coach role. I hope you like this topic. I hope you like the way I'm going to present it, and would be happy to share the feedback. Please share your feedback on this. Those of you who are on LinkedIn Live, those of you who are on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, obviously you won't be able to communicate with me like people on Zoom meeting, but please share your feedback. Okay, so kindly share your feedback, and we'll be more than happy to the feedback. Please share your feedback, and yeah, we will be more than happy to have that feedback from all of you, right? Yeah, on that note, let me start with the topic, and let us try to understand this, right? And I think the logo also, there's a reason why I've chosen that logo, because it's in our dream, right? Everyone dreams to grow into that role of an agile coach, and a change agent or a transformation agent, right? So on that note, let me move ahead with this, and a bit round of introduction about myself. Ashutosh Bhattodekar here, working as an enterprise agile coach, a consultant and a trainer. I have been into the agile world since 2008, and since then I have helped many individuals grow from a traditional, I would say, project manager into a coach role. I've also helped organizations move into their journey from a traditional waterfallish way of working into what we call as an adaptive or an agile way of working. You can connect with me on LinkedIn in case we are not already connected. I also have a YouTube channel. I think many of you are already subscribers. I can see that. And thanks for helping us grow into that YouTube channel. So I have now 100 plus videos. So our 100th video got published around 2 weeks back. I think this is the 102nd or 103rd video. So if you are interested to watch, there's a YouTube channel, Agile Coaching and Transformation Leadership. In any case, we will be sending these details in an email to you, right? You can always connect on the links. I'm on Twitter. I also have a Telegram group. Many of you are already members of that, and I do see people from that group also here. And this Telegram group is predominantly to help people, right? In case anyone is in need of a job, we do publish a lot of openings of Scrum Master, Project Manager, Agile Coaches, Product Owner on that Telegram group. So feel free to connect on that Telegram group. And there are a few articles which I've written on a portal called DZone. If you are interested in reading those articles, these are predominantly blogs on agile coaching, estimation. Do have a look at those, and share your valuable feedback on that, right? So on that note, let me start with this topic. And before I start with this topic, what I'm going to show you now is something which I try to do it in a kind of a, I mean, it was a lazy Sunday afternoon where I had nothing to do, and I thought that this is the best way I can do it. And this was more during the lockdown. Okay, this was more during that second lockdown when there was general, I would say, things were pretty low around us, right? I mean, the second lockdown in India, right, where there was a lot of those things happening, a lot of not so good things happening with our friends and family members. And this is what I came out with, right? So one Sunday evening, I stopped and I just gave it to myself, and I said, okay, let me think of what exactly is the Scrum guide to me. And this is what a picture which emerged out of it, right? So this is entirely crafted by me. I'm not vouching for its authenticity, because this is what came to my mind on that Sunday afternoon, where I came out with some of the key, I would say, elements of Scrum. And I've tried to give it a kind of a content or a form or a shape to this picture. So I just wanted to share it with you. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to use it, but what I'm trying to tell is each one of us has got such kind of, I would say, limited, if not full, a limited creativity. So try to use it, right? Try to use it. Definitely, I use it to remember few of the things. So definitely you also have something more creative with you. And I'm sure you will be able to also come out with some pieces like this, right? Some deliverables or some elements like this. All right. So on that note, let us go deep dive into our topic. What exactly is this topic is how do I grow from a Scrum Master to an Agile coach role? So what I thought was that let me first explain what is a Scrum Master, what he or she is supposed to do. Then let me also talk about an Agile coach, right? What is an Agile coach supposed to do? Because I fundamentally feel that we have got a lot of confusion. We have got a lot of haziness around both these roles, right? What exactly a Scrum Master does, what exactly an Agile coach does. And we tend to mix the two roles, although there is some degree of I would say there is some degree of commonality between the two roles, but fundamentally there is a major difference between the two roles. Okay, so before I go deep dive into this, just wanted to do a quick check here. How many of you are playing a role of a Scrum Master? If you can just let me know how many of you are playing the role of a Scrum Master, and how many of you are playing the role of an Agile coach already. Just wanted to do a quick check on this before we move ahead. Yeah, I'm just looking at the I'm just looking at this. Okay, so we have, I think many of them are playing the role of a PO. And yes, I mean, I have also coached a lot of POs to move into a Scrum Master role. Okay, sorry, POs to move into an Agile coaching role. Okay, so that's what I have been doing, right? So that's something which I have been doing as a part of this journey. All right, let us, so a lot of interesting things and inputs coming in. Scrum Masters, okay, plus one, okay. Okay, and obviously, needless to say, you are here because all of you aspire to become an Agile coach, or you want to move into that journey of an Agile coaching role, right? So let us first understand what exactly is a Scrum Master all about, right? And yes, there are different definitions of Scrum Master. And the latest Scrum guide, I'm piggybacking on the latest Scrum guide. And as per latest Scrum guide, Scrum Master is someone who's a true leader. So it is beyond a servant leadership. Yeah. We used to always say that a Scrum Master is a servant leader, but the latest Scrum guide, what we have, it uses the word true leader. So true leader is encompassing servant leadership, but it includes other things also. Like I fundamentally believe, although Scrum guide does not define what is true leadership means, right? But I fundamentally believe it includes emotional intelligence. It includes social awareness. It includes diplomatic skills. It includes political awareness, right? So all those skills are a part and parcel of the role of a Scrum Master, right? And fundamentally, this role is one, what we know, is a one who's there as a coach for the team, right? Someone who's there to protect the team from any external disturbances, someone who makes sure that the team is trained on the Scrum values, the Scrum, I mean, the 5 values of Scrum Force, someone who makes sure that the team is in alignment with the Agile values and Agile principles. And most importantly, someone who facilitates the event and someone who actually removes impediment. So the removal of impediment is one of the fundamental, or I would say it will consume nearly 80% of the time, right? And there was one more interesting topic on which I had delivered a webinar, where this was a question which was put to me, that as a Scrum Master, how much time do you spend really, right, on all these things? And I've given a webinar on that. You can watch it in the YouTube channel. That webinar is available there. And apparently, when you do the mathematics, right, you feel that you're contributing only 40%. But in that webinar, I have explained that what is that remaining 60%, right? Do watch that webinar. I can share the link later on when I give this access to this webinar also on YouTube. I'll be sharing the link of that webinar also. Anyways, coming back to the role, someone who's basically removing the impediment, someone who's there to remove any bottlenecks or roadblocks which come in the way of our way, right? Or in the way of the team. So someone who coaches the team. So definitely the word coaching is there. The word coaching is there as a part of the Scrum Master roles and responsibilities. So even the Scrum guide talks about basically coaching, right? It talks about the coaching element. It talks about what we call as the true leadership style, which is there. And the Scrum guide further goes on to say that, and I'm not going into the details of this again, as a Scrum Master, you are interacting with the team. As a scrum master, you are basically going to coach the product owner. Yes, this is important. Many times when I ask people, when I ask prospective scrum masters in interview, how do you coach product owners? Okay, in that situation, what we invariably get is, no, I never get an opportunity to coach. That's not the case. That's not the case. You have to coach the product owner. That is one of the key things. Okay, that is one of the key things what we have, that you need to coach the product owner. Also, you need to coach the team. And there are different dimensions of coaching: high touch coaching, low touch coaching, medium touch coaching, which are there. So this is the second thing. And the third important thing is scrum master serving the organization. And that is also some of the coaching elements are applicable. Now, unfortunately, this particular aspect is taken very low. I mean, practically speaking, if you ask scrum master, they will say, no, we have been confined to only the team. And if at all we get the time, we have been confined to only coaching the product owner. So when I do the kind of a profile analysis of scrum master, right, how much time do they spend in coaching the organization? How much time they spend in coaching the product owner? How much time they end up in coaching the team? The results are not at all surprising. For example, if I were to do a quick kind of a quick ballpark figure, 90% of a time of a scrum master, when I do the analysis, is done on team level coaching. Okay, probably 5 to 6% on product owner, or in fact, it is not even 5 to 6%. It could be 3 to 4%. Okay, and this many times is 0%. So you might be wondering, where is the rest of the percentage going? The rest of the percentage is going in mainly meetings, organizing, and all. Again, remember, in fact, there are some profiles where I see this to be hardly 20%. Their 70% time goes in performing a secretary job. Okay, so that's why I say Scrum Master is not a secretary. The Scrum Master is not supposed to send a meeting invites. Okay, I mean, yes, we should be doing it. I'm not saying that we should not be doing it. But that is not the job of a Scrum Master, to make sure people attend a daily Scrum meeting, calling people, okay, come, there's a daily Scrum happening. No, that is not a job of a Scrum Master. The job of a Scrum Master is not to send minutes of meeting. In one of the interviews, one person said, you know what, I published the daily stand-up meeting or a daily Scrum meeting minutes meeting. Immediately you're going to be rejected with such answers, right? Because that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not a Scrum secretary. You are a Scrum Master. That is what Scrum Guide has empowered you. So if you are not using that empowerment, then no one can help you, right? So that's one fundamental thing of the role of a Scrum Master. So if you ask me personally, I would not have taken this webinar had a Scrum Master really done this work. Okay, had a Scrum Master really coached the team, had a Scrum Master really interacted with the product owner and helped him or her prioritize the backlog item. Remember, this is a role of a Scrum Master, that you have to help the product owner in making sure that the right items are prioritized using techniques, any of these techniques, Moscow method, Kano analysis, or let's say WSJF, etc. Any of those methods, it's the duty of the Scrum Master to do that, right? It's the duty of the Scrum Master to make sure that the product owner understands the importance of backlog refinement. So had the Scrum Master in our world really done these things, then I would have said this webinar is a waste of time. Don't attend this webinar at all, because it's of no, you're already doing the role of an agile coach. You're coaching the product owner, you're coaching the organization, and you're coaching the team. And this is, by the way, written from Scrum Guide. Okay, this is what I have picked up directly from Scrum Guide. This is not what I am saying. Okay, this is what the Scrum Guide says. In fact, the Scrum Guide does not even talk about the role as an agile coach. If you observe it closely, do a Control F on that 13, 14 pager document, you will never find a role as an agile coach in the Scrum Guide, right? Even in any other framework, very few of them have got this role as an agile coach, because the expectation is that the Scrum Master is going to play that role. The Scrum Master is the coach for the team, for the product owner, and for the organization. And yes, some people might say that this is an idealistic expectation from the role of a Scrum Master. So assuming that argument, that yes, okay, as a Scrum Master, let's assume that we are not doing these things. We are not coaching the organization leadership. We are not coaching the product owners. We are only focusing on team, and that too our work is predominantly transactional in nature. Let us try to understand then that what exactly, I mean, from an industry perspective, this webinar is more from an industry perspective, that tomorrow if I go for an interview of an agile coach, what they are going to expect from me. And especially if I have played the role of a Scrum Master for, let us say, 3 to 4 years in the industry, what is the expectation from the industry from me, right? Because obviously, if I'm going to tell in an interview of an Agile coach that I arranged meetings, I sent out the minutes of meeting of a daily Scrum, you, I think, know the chances of getting selected, right? They're almost 0 to none, right? So obviously, they are expecting your more knowledge, your more practical experience on the coaching side of the product owners, on the coaching side of organization level. Now, coming to the industry, yes, you do have a role, or you do have positions advertised on LinkedIn, on Naukri.com, on Shine Jobs, which are of Scrum Master, which are of Agile Coach. So let us now try to understand what exactly is the Agile Coach definition all about. And this is coming from the State of Agile Coaching report, which was published last year. An Agile Coach is a person who helps organization, teams, and individuals. Remember, there are 3 dimensions: organizations, teams, and individuals. Again, it's the same thing: organization, team, and individual. So again, the Scrum Guide also has the same thing. So there's nothing new in that definition: to adapt agile practices and methods while embedding agile values and mindset. Okay, so that is the definition. That is the definition, the standard definition of an agile coach, which is there. So the whole idea here is to know, make sure, or the whole intent here is to make sure that we understand what an agile coach does. And what you see on the right hand side is a very, very famous model by a person I literally give salute to, Lisa Atkins' Agile Competency framework, which she has crafted in her books, Coaching Agile Teams. So how many of you have read her book, by the way, Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins? Let us do a quick vote count. Have you read that book, Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins? No. Okay. So my suggestion would be, read that book first. That is the fundamental piece you have to understand before even you go for an interview of an Agile coach. Okay. If you have not read that book, believe me, you have not really read about Agile coaching, right? You really don't know what Agile coaching is. If you don't know that book, Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins, that is the name. It's the Bible. It's the Bible of Agile coaching. And this is something which you should not only read once, it should be read multiple times. And believe me, even now when I read this book, I always learn something new. There's always that new thing or a new way of coaching which I learned from this book. So this is one book which I would strongly recommend, where she has brought in this framework. I would not like to really call it as a framework, but what are the competencies which an Agile coach should be possessing, right? What are the key competencies which should be there for an Agile coach? And if you can clearly see, this is something more than what you can expect from a Scrum Master, right? So let us understand these competencies. What exactly are these competencies? Where do they fit in into our journey as an Agile coach? Okay, so I have labeled them as A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so I've just labeled them for ease of understanding. So first and fundamental thing is A, which is you have to be someone who practices Agile and Lean, right? So you should know what exactly are the Agile Lean values, Agile Lean principles. What exactly is Agile Lean all about? How do we make sure that we transform an organization from a traditional mindset into an Agile Lean mindset, right? So you should first be convinced about the Agile values and principles and practices around it. And then only you would be a good coach to move ahead into that journey, right? So that is the fundamental thing, someone who walks the talk. Okay, now B is very interesting. If you look at B, which is immediately at the south side of it or at the bottom side of it, there are 3 elements to it. One is technical mastery, second is transformation mastery, and the third is business mastery. I feel these 3 are very, very important. Okay, now again, when I say technical mastery, do I expect you to do coding? No. I'm not expecting you to build a CI/CD pipeline, but you should at least be aware about what exactly it means to have a branching and merging strategy. What does the term release on demand mean? What exactly do we mean by deployment, right? What exactly is the DevOps tooling in our organization, in our engagement? What is the DevOps landscape? What exactly is that periodic table which is shaping out in our organization landscape? So definitely awareness of that is very, very vital and important, right? You cannot become an Agile coach without that any of these elements, by the way. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. The second is transformation mastery. Do we know what are the coaching tools and techniques, right? I have a do we use any gamification techniques for coaching? How do we make our retrospectives more interesting? As a coach, have you developed any unique coaching style? This is a favorite question in any agile coaching interview, that tell me your style. Is it like that football coach, or is it like that cricket coach, right? I mean, the if you look at these two sports, the coaching styles are very, very diverse, right? If you have watched a football match, you see the coach actually on the ground outside the boundary, running across with the players. Whereas a cricket, and I mean, those of you are not aware about cricket, it's an English game, but of course more popular in India. A cricket coach is more in the dressing room, observing things from very far off, right? So which coaching style to choose where? I mean, those kind of things you should be aware. What is your coaching model, right? Which model are you using, right? And why that model, right? I mean, those kind of things, the transformation approaches, the transformation levers. How did you make your team move from a low performing team to a high performing team, right? Walk us through that journey. I mean, that is something you need to understand from a transformation mastery. And the third and the most important thing is the business domain where you're coaching. Now, this is something very interesting, because as agile coaches, our engagement our tenure in an engagement is very short, right? It's like ambassadors, right? One day you're appointed as ambassador from India to, let's say, United States of America. 2 years down the line, you're transferred to UK. 3 years down the line to some country in Africa, then China, something like that. So you should know about the local culture, right? As ambassador, I should know about the local culture, what is the local politics, the geopolitical alignment around it, right? So similarly here, one day you could be working on an agile transformation in an entertainment domain, right? Another day you could be working in a banking client. Another day you could be working on, let's say, insurance client. The third day on a manufacturing client, which is onto digitization. So that comes in as a part of business mastery. You should understand the domain. And again, these are the things what you should be doing in first few weeks of your entry into that transformation. So that is the business mastery around it. Okay. So that is column B, which is there. C is you have to be a good trainer. Come what may be, believe me, you have to be a good trainer. You have to pick up teaching skills, and fundamentally believe me, teaching skills and coaching skills are two different things. Okay, they are not same. Many of us think that teaching skills and coaching skills are same. No, teaching skills are different, coaching skills are different. Okay, so teaching, the fundamental premise is that you know more than the students, right? So you need to know 100 things if you want to teach 10 things to student. I always believe in that principle, right? That if you want to teach 10 things to a student, you should be aware of 100 things, how to teach those 100 things. Only then you will be able to teach those 10 things to students. Okay, so that is different than coaching. Okay, so teaching means you should be able to conduct training programs, because you will have to design training programs as an agile coach, whether it's for your junior most team members, whether it's for the middle management, whether it's for the leadership team. The training programs have to be customized. The training programs have to be designed for that layer, right? So that's one more important thing we need to understand. Okay, then sharing, mentoring, right? D is about mentoring. Again, mentoring is different from coaching. Okay, many of us confuse mentoring with coaching. No, mentoring is different. Okay, so mentor is a go-to person. So a mentor need not be the person from my area. For example, my mentor is nowhere related with technology, just to let you know. My mentor is from a totally different field altogether. But if I'm feeling a low one day, I will always ask that mentor to meet me. Can I meet you? Can we have a coffee somewhere and let's discuss? And probably for the first half an hour, we could be discussing what's happening in the world, maybe the Ukraine war. We could be discussing the political situation in India, or why Indian cricket team is not performing that well, or what happened to Mumbai Indians in IPL team, IPL this season, right? Probably for the first half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, we could be discussing this. And then we would be talking about the problem statement. My mentor will typically ask me a question. Okay, tell me, why did you call me today? Right? What is troubling you? Or are things okay? Or tell me, is there any good news? Sometimes it may not be a problem. I just call my mentor because I have to share a good news with him or her, right? So that is what is mentoring. So in our workplace also, believe me, the coaching transformations which I have left already, people still call me. They still call me. They want to meet me. They want to chat with me. If I'm not in the same town, they would like to have a call with me. And that is what is called as mentoring, right? So mentoring is about, it's someone who actually is like a well-wisher, someone who makes sure that in case the person is down, this person lifts up the mood. That is what is called as mentoring. And then, of course, we come to coaching, the professional coaching. Now, this is where the key thing lies. Coach is a person, and I put my coach definition in this way. Okay. So first of all, coach is a person who will actually ask you, okay, so let's say you approach a coach that tell me what is the time today. Okay, the coach will never tell you the time. In fact, the coach will never have a watch like me. Okay, just wanted to tell you that. Okay, that was just a joke, but a coach will never give you the answer to that question. So if you go to a coach and ask the coach, coach sir or coach madam, can you tell me what time it is? Coach will say, okay, let's discuss that. Tell me what is on your right hand wrist. Then you will say it's a watch. Okay, can you please have a look at the watch? Okay, yes. And can you tell me where is the big hand? And then you will say that, okay, it is at this particular point. You will say that it is at 8 o'clock. Okay, it's at 8 number. Then the coach will ask, where is the small hand? And then you will say probably it's somewhere between 8 and 9, right? And then you'll ask, where is that that needle which is constantly moving? And then you will say that it is between 25 and 30 seconds somewhere. And then you'll say, okay, now add these two numbers, add these three figures. So coach is someone who will extract the answer from you. Coach is never going to give you a solution. Believe me, this is a fundamental mistake we make. We think that a coach is there to provide solutions to every problem. No, that is the job of a teacher or a trainer, not of that of a coach. Okay, so that skills you will have to generate, right? Many times we actually make this mistake in an interview also. The interviewer will deliberately put a trap and we fall into that trap. The interviewer will make sure that you give answer to that question. But in reality, what the interviewer is asking is, okay, get that answer out from me. What is the technique to extract that answer out of me, right? So that is coaching what is there. And last but not the least, one of the core competencies needed is facilitating skills, right? So you should be facilitating the agile events, agile ceremonies, then the lightweight coaching, medium touch coaching, high touch coaching. So depending on the maturity of the teams, you will have to decide which team needs a high touch coaching, which team needs a low touch coaching, which team needs a kind of a medium touch coaching. So that comes in all of your facilitation skills which are there. So if you look at it, this is the dimension of agile coaching, or this is the entire spectrum in which the entire coaching landscape is structured around, right? So now let us try to contrast the two roles. Now that we know what does a Scrum Master does, what does an agile coach does, now let us try to understand the differences. And again, this is something which is coming from my experience. You don't have to agree to it. Feel free to differ on these pointers. This is coming from my experience. I have played myself a role of a Scrum Master. I have been playing the role of an agile coach, and this is mostly coming in with my experience across various domains. Okay, so fundamentally what is important to understand is a Scrum Master is and this is a tragedy of this role. It was not supposed to be meant like this, to be very honest, but somehow this role has become more like an inward focused role. What do I mean by inward focused role? You're just focusing on your team. It has become team centric. It is more focused on output, and it has become more like a transactional role that, okay, facilitate this daily scrum, facilitate a demo, please send out an invite of a demo. And what has happened because of this is that the focus has restricted itself to a single team. Unfortunately, that is what has happened. The element of product owner coaching, the element of organization coaching has been lost in this entire journey. It is mainly about events. It is mainly about few of the IT metrics. And I mean, I think we all know, right? What are those metrics which we as Scrum Masters measure? Velocity, say-do ratio. Unfortunately, we get so much immersed in those metrics that we don't even look outside the team, right? Unfortunately, this has become more like an inward focus role. And what is an agile coaching role? What exactly do I see myself as an agile coach? What exactly is the transformation needed? I would consider this to be a more of an outside facing role. It is stakeholder centric focused. You don't just focus on your team, you focus more outwards on the stakeholders, you focus on outcomes, and it's a very, very strategic role. It's not a tactical role. Unfortunately, Scrum Master has become more like a transactional or a tactical role, but you focused more on the outward side. So you interact with business stakeholders. You are involved in agile budgeting and funding, devising mechanisms around agile budgeting and funding. And rather than focusing on IT metrics, you focus on business outcomes, right? You focus on how much has agile impacted the business, either in a positive manner or in a negative manner, right? So that fundamentally is the difference of what I clearly see are the two contrasting sides of this role between a Scrum Master and an Agile coach. So if you look at it, this is the journey which one has to take. Okay, this is a journey which one has to take if you want to move from a Scrum Master to an Agile coach role, right? These are just few of the elements. Okay, I've just tried to highlight few of the important elements. This is probably just a tip of an iceberg. There are many such things which are beneath the iceberg, which we need to understand. To put it in a different way, okay, the same thing, but I'm putting it in a different way, in a pyramid kind of an example. The Scrum Master is predominantly operating in this zone, okay, which is basically the Scrum Master will predominantly say that, okay, these many team members I have, they will be working on these things, and this will be the output, right? I mean, this is what will the Scrum Master be working. But an Agile coach is someone who's actually going to work on output, outcome, and impact, right? It is very easy to predict an output. Okay, all you need to do is you need to plan the velocity. You say that, okay, we will accomplish 32 story points or whatever unit you are measuring, and at the end of the day, and you can also predict on day one, right, whether you will achieve or not. And looking at the burn down chart, you can easily say that whether you achieved that velocity or not, right? But to convert output into outcome, and from outcome into impact to the business, it's not an easy equation. Okay, and believe me, even within two transformations of the same domain, let us say you're working on Agile transformation in bank A. Let us say you as a coach are able to crack that equation, that what is the outcome generated, what is the impact generated. You try to apply the same formula in bank B, it will disastrously fail. The same formula will not get applied because there are a lot of those factors, external factors which influence this formula. So one of the things for an Agile coach is that what is the outcome of the transformation, right? Not just bothered about the output. Yes, over a period of time, they will say that outputs even a Scrum Master can do. So why do we need an Agile coach? An Agile coach would be required to translate those output into outcomes. Okay, so if you want to translate those output into outcomes, that is when an Agile coach is needed, right? And more importantly, outcomes into the impact to the business. Okay, so one way in which it can be measured. Now there are different ways in which, now unfortunately what has also happened is business value as a whole is the most talked about metric, but least measured or least understood. Okay, and many people have got different connotations to it, right? So some of the dimensions on which you measure the success of your Agile transformation is, what are the key business drivers this product has impacted? For example, how many customers we could add because of this? How much was the revenue? Okay, how much was the revenue which was there, right? How much revenue we could generate, right? What was the product growth? Because I launched a new feature, how many customers got added, or what was the growth in the subscriber, right? What was my rating? What was my Play Store rating? Did it improve because of this new feature, or did it decrease? How many markets I could capture because of this new feature which I added into my WhatsApp, let us say? What is the operational efficiency gain? What is the employee satisfaction score? Social index, social scores, like for an application like Covin, probably revenue doesn't impact because it's not generating any money as such. But what is important is social outreach. How many people you could prevent from getting infected because that could alert you that you are entering into a red zone area. That kind of matrix are the outcome matrix which are there. Those are outcome matrix, not the velocity and the say-to ratio. How much of employees are satisfied because of a new feature being launched? How many, why are employees satisfied? Because there are lesser calls to the call centers, right? So they are having a better work-life balance. So those are predominantly the business value drivers. Okay, so those are something what is called as the key business value drivers, or the critical business values which are there. And again, I'm repeating, it is not easy to measure. What works for one area, what predominantly works for one area is not something to work which will work for other areas also. Remember this. Okay, so this is not something like a E is equal to MC square equation which will work everywhere. Okay, this is something which works for one area, and you have to rework on another area. Okay, you have to rework on other areas is what you will need to do, right? And as I said, I made that mistake. I thought that I'm working in bank A for a transformation, and if it works for bank A, the same equation will work for bank B, but it never happened like that, right? It actually never happened like that, and I had to actually literally eat back my words, right? So that was the lesson That was the deep lesson which I learned from this entire journey, right? Yeah. So this is what comes in as a part of your business outcome matrix, which are there. Okay. So these are the business value drivers or the business outcome matrix, what we see as a part of this journey. Okay. Moving ahead. Yeah. So moving ahead. Now, one last slide before I open up for question. So coming back and trying to sum up the things here, most of us are involved, and even I've seen agile coaches getting trapped in this. Most of us are involved only in value generation. What do I mean by that? When we go into any engagement as a scrum master and an agile coach, the first thing what we do is we train our teams, right? We say that, okay, this is waterfall, that classic diagram what you see, and this is what agile way of working is, whether it is scrum or whether it is kanban, you try to apply that framework, and then you start capturing some matrix which are predominantly IT matrix. We are more concerned with output which is there. So what we do is we help the team build product in an agile way. We validate the product and we deploy the product, right? I mean, the demos and the release on demand, deployment into the production service. And then, of course, as a process improvement, we say that we are going to do DevOps also, right? We are going to integrate development and operations, and we will be having a DevOps way of working. But unfortunately, and if you look at, if I've done a time analysis of people who are playing the role of a Scrum Master and Agile coach, and believe me, 90% of our time goes in here. 90% of our time goes in value generation. But what I'm putting forward is a very, very radical thought that as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, at least for an Agile coach, Scrum Master, I can still understand spending some time here. You should hardly be spending 20% time here. As an agile coach, you should hardly be spending 20%. I'm repeating again, okay, that training team members, basically facilitating events or integrating dev and ops, you should not be spending more than 20% of your time in this area, right? So as an agile coach, where do I spend my maximum time? I call it as a shift left and a shift right strategy. Those arrows are shifting left, those arrows are shifting right. What do I mean by that shift left and shift right strategy? Shift left means that as an agile coach, you should be working with the business in identifying what are the value drivers. That is the first important thing you have to do. You have to work with the business in identifying what are the value drivers, the need, the compelling need for this organization to go in for an agile way of working. What are we envisaging? What is the product roadmap? How does my product roadmap look like? What are the features which we are going to launch at a very, very high level? I should be working with the business and the product ownership and strategizing and prioritizing the critical business value drivers for a product. So whether it is Twitter, whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is Ola Cabs, or whether it is Instagram, what are the value drivers which this product is going to generate? And most importantly, how are we going to fund this? How do we move from a project-based funding to a product-based funding, right? How do we fund value streams rather than funding projects? Because project funding, we have all seen the challenges, right? Most of the projects are overrun. Rather fund value streams, as they say, right? So this is where I have to work myself. This is where I envisage the role of an agile coach, okay? Not just the middle tier. Middle tier is, yes, it is, it is done and dusted, right? That is a bare minimum expectation. Then I also see the role of an agile coach shifting on the right-hand side, okay? Shift right strategy. That once the feature is launched into the Play Store, is it monetizing value? Is it giving me enhanced value? And do I need to refine the feature? Do I need to refine the value of the feature? This is also where an agile coach should be working. So most of us exit out of the engagement after training, after coaching, running probably 1 or 2 releases, and then we say that transformation is done. No, this actually is not even called as an agile transformation. This is called as agile transition. There's a fundamental difference between transition and transformation. Okay, this, I think we'll have to get these statements also correct. Okay, so we'll have to get these statements also correct. This is not at all agile transformation, by the way, the Tower B, which I was talking about, that you are merging development and operations together, you're generating matrix, you're training the teams into an agile way of working. That is transition. Transformation is shift left and shift right strategy. Okay, so you shift left and you try to work with the teams, you try to work with the business in identifying the value. And in C quadrant, or in the Tower C, you tend to go and you shift right, and you tend to realize the value. You make sure that the value is getting realized. Is the business really getting the benefit, right? What they had anticipated and what they are really getting, is there really a match between the two, or we are actually devalued ourselves, right? Many times it happens, by the way. You roll out a feature and it's actually this curve goes down. Probably the feature was not liked by many people, or there was a huge backlash against that feature, because of which people started leaving that particular app. They started uninstalling the app. So that also happens many times. Not necessarily it's a happy path which tends upwards. Yeah. So as I said in the beginning, some key time related metrics around it. As a coach, you should be spending 80 to 90% in tower A and tower C, and roughly around 20% in tower B. Okay, that's the shift. That's what I call it as a shift left and a shift right strategy from a value pipeline perspective. Believe me, I mean, this is a concept which people challenge me, saying that, no, how can it work in an Indian services company? Try to understand. An Indian IT service company can ask for a premium for an agile coach if you have an agile coach who works on the shift left and the shift right strategy. I can position this agile coach as at a key level from a billing perspective. So if you ask me, this is a very good model to encash the true value of an agile coach. The true value of an agile coach is not in the middle tower. The true value of an agile coach is across the entire spectrum. And in fact, 40 and 40%, I've used a very conservative number. If you ask me personally, I would have preferred a 10% in the middle and 45 on the either sides of that middle tower which is there, right? So this is what I call as the value pipeline of an agile coach, or this is what I call it as the critical value pipeline from an agile coach perspective, right? Yeah. So this is what I wanted to convey. This is what I wanted to cover as a part of this journey. I will now obviously open up the floor for any question and answers. But just before I open the floor for question and answers, just wanted to let people on LinkedIn Live and Twitter Live know that obviously you won't be able to talk. I mean, you won't be able to unmute yourself and speak, but you can always put in the questions there. I'll be more than happy to have your questions there. And you can and make sure, and I'll assure you that I will come back to you with the answers for those questions. Okay. And what I have also given you is a YouTube channel link. I've also given you a YouTube channel link. So in case you are interested to subscribe to my channel, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And now we will open up the floor for Q&A. Yeah, so I'm just allowing you to unmute, but please follow the discipline. Please give opportunity to people who have unmuted first. Let them ask the question. Yeah, and then yeah, we can go ahead. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question now. Yeah.
Yeah, Shitush, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Vipesh. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for this session. So again, since these are more for from the industry, right? And what we have seen, what I have seen in my experience, that the organizations, they demand, again, as an agile lesson coach and the Scrum Master, they want both. Again, too much to ask, but that is what in some cases. So that if you go back to the previous slide, so you said 20%. So who will spend this the other other 40% in B, if there's no Scrum Master or not an effective Scrum Master, and if we are not getting the value generated, so how we can tackle it in a practical scenario?
So you're asking one person performing the role of an agile coach and a Scrum Master?
Yep.
See, why would so it's like saying that I will have the Prime Minister and President of the country same, right? Does it work that way? No, right? I mean, see, you will have to make the organization realize on this that that this is not something which is expected, right? I mean, you can't have. I mean, so you will end up working 12 hours minimum in a day, right? That is what will happen in that case. See, again, it cannot be done, right? I mean, I think we know the answer, right? Although you're asking the question, you also know the answer for this, right? You have to convince the management that, are you getting, am I going to get double salary? Am I going to get 1.5 salary for these two roles which I'm performing? The answer obviously is no, right? You cannot have two people performing that role, right? Agile coach is different, Scrum Master is different. And that's what I think I told the differences between the two roles, right? If they're expecting you to be an Agile coach and a Scrum Master, both, I think they're losing on billing. Even the organization is losing on billing, right? If you ask from a customer perspective. So why would an organization like to do that, right? I mean, if they can get a billing of two people, and think I'm very practical here, okay? I'm very practical here, a little selfish also here from an organization perspective, that I should be then convincing my client, right, that why do I need these two roles rather than asking one person to own up both the roles.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Vivesh. Yeah, anyone else, any question? You can unmute yourself and you can ask the questions.
Hey, Ashutosh, this is Madhumanti.
Yeah, Madhumanti, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm playing a Scrum Master role for 6 plus years, and I want to grow as a coach. So, what from my personal learning and transformation to a coach, what do I need to do?
So that's what I think I was telling, right? What exactly you have to move. I mean, you have to move from more from an output-driven matrix to an outcome-driven matrix. I think that's what I told, right? I mean,
Yes. Yes, I understood that. But when you're playing a role of Scrum Master, generally in practical situation, you don't have that empowerment to actually talk to the business or talk to the senior management of the organization, or maybe I don't have that skill set to talk to them, to show them this is a problem, this can be changed and all. So that in that perspective, the question was how to transfer it
So here,
so that you can talk to those senior
yeah,
members.
I got your question. So basically, see here, your coach has to identify you as a potential agile coach. Okay, so as a coach, you will have to get identified as a potential agile coach. That is how I would say. Okay, now this is where one of the KRAs for my role as an agile coach is I have to identify more people like me. So if that is not happening in your organization, then probably the agile coach is not a right candidate there. Because ideally, if you ask me, one of the duties of an agile coach is that whatever Scrum Masters I have in my transformation, I have to identify who could be playing the role of a potential agile coach. I will have to groom him or her into that role. So when I go in for a meeting with senior leadership, I will have to take this person along with me as an observer initially. So I would say the onus lies more on the person who is, who's the coach in your transformation. And maybe you should also highlight that in your meetings. You should also highlight that I want to move into that agile coaching role. Tell me the career path. Tell me what is a career path for me to grow into an agile coaching role. I mean, you have to ask this question to your organization. You have to ask this question to an agile coach. But as a practice, I can definitely tell, and you can get it confirmed from people who have played the role of Scrum Master with me, that how do I identify them? What are their potential strengths? What are their potential weaknesses? And I groom them into the role of an agile coach. In fact, I also make sure that when I'm exiting an engagement, someone from the Scrum Master picks up my position or my role. It's always leadership is about building leaders, more leaders under you. So that I would say is a problem more from the, I would say, the leadership there, wherever you're working, where probably they have not identified you or they have not considered you to be the potential agile coach in this or in this engagement or for any other engagement which is coming up. Okay, anyone else? Any question?
So on the same line, Ashutosh, the previous question, just building up. So we don't have, suppose in the organization is not having an agile coach role, right? So we need to get head on, with the manager, senior leader. Hey, what value I can bring in, or what value the organization can bring in if they have an agile coach, right? Maybe they want to increase the budget and other stuff. So I have to give them a value realization, right? A CBA, cost business analysis, right? I definitely have a groomed or coached a Scrum Master before leaving my position, as you said. So again, easier said than done. I think we need to get into discussion with the organization that you need an agile coach, and why do you need it? We need to tell them.
Exactly. You have to put forward a business case for an agile coach. See, if I can put a business case for why a party is needed for my, I mean, I know it's not a right example, but why a party is needed for my team, or why I need an Apple laptop than a normal laptop. So as yes, that's exactly. You only gave the answer to your question, right? I mean, you have to put forward the business case why an organization needs an agile coach. There has to be a proper business case which has to be put forward. And yeah, believe me, as you rightly said, first get ready for a decline for this meeting for first 3 to 4 times. You will set up a meeting, the person will decline it, maybe, and one golden rule, don't set a meeting for 1 hour, set a meeting for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then tell him that, okay, I would like to have this meeting again, right? Maybe next week sometime we can meet another for maybe 15, 20 minutes. So that is how you will have to go forward and put forward a strong business case with the reason why an agile coach is needed. Okay. Yeah,
Thank
Puneet, I think
you so much.
Yeah, Puneet, you have raised a hand. Any question from your side? You can unmute yourself.
Sure, Ashutosh. Just one question. Like, if my Scrum Masters are coming back to me saying that the team is not able to estimate the work properly, what would be my advice to the Scrum Master?
So it is, who is me? Who is this me? You haven't clarified. Who is this me? What is the role you're saying when Scrum Masters
Agile
are
coach.
coming to
Agile coach.
Agile coach. Okay. So that's a coaching session you will have to engage with the team. It's a one-on-one coaching session, or if there are multiple Scrum Masters, you have to take them into a coaching session. And you have to make them understand what is the problem statement here. So estimation is just one part of the problem.
Right.
Or it could be a symptom. There could be a bigger malus which could be there. Probably the stories are not crafted properly, or the stories are not in line with the definition of ready. So you'll have to go into that's where your facilitation skills will come into the play. The diagram where I showed you, right? The facilitation skills. So here you will have to play the role of a facilitator and quickly ask the team, okay, I mean, what, and basically you have techniques like root cause analysis, you have techniques like, I mean, the 5 why techniques, which will help the team identify the root cause of a problem. So the answer is you will have to play that coaching and a mentor role here.
No, but what would be my advice to the Scrum Master?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, you'll have to go in a facilitation skill. There's no straight answer for that. It's coaching session you will need to have with the Scrum Master. See, again, it's not a science, it's an art. Remember, coaching is an art, it is not a science. So you can't expect E is equal to MC square as the answer to that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Suresh, any question from your side? I think I've seen you raised a hand.
Yes, Ashutosh. Regarding that realization you have said, no? Example, let me put an example, product improvement. Okay, so how far a coach can play a role of improving, because it's primarily a PO dashboard. So what side of improvement that he can bring? He has got the value what he has defined in the thing, but beyond it, okay, how you can envision a coach role would be? How a coach can play that, because which is not in his control.
No, which question? Which I mean, I didn't get your question.
Okay, to the slide of you're saying shift right. Okay, in the shift right, you are saying shift right. You are saying no shift right. In that shift right, you had enhanced the value, everything. Okay, here let me take an example of a product. Okay, I have developed a product. What to be enhanced on top of it will not be my scope of work.
No, wait a minute. I'm not saying that you have to enhance the value. You have to coach the product owner to challenge them. The product owner has to be challenged to enhance the value as a coach. I'm not going to do the Moscow analysis. I don't think I said that. What I said was that if you are a product owner, I should make sure that you are not complacent that whatever value has been achieved is the final value. As a coach, I will challenge you that there is an opportunity to enhance value. That is what I was saying. I'm not going to do the Moscow analysis or the Kano model for this.
Got it.
So it is as a coach, I'm going to challenge you as a product owner to enhance the value.
Okay. My second question would be, what are the various types of coaching model or the styles we have?
Oh, there are many actually. I have a separate video on that. There's a Grow model, there's an Oscar model, there's a model which I have created, basically the Octopus model. Then there is the very famous Wheel of Change model. So there are many models. I mean, it's not possible to cover them in such a small duration. But I have already taken a session on coaching models. You can see on the YouTube channel. You will see those coaching models which are there.
Okay, then thanks.
Yeah, Christopher, any question from your side? I think I see a hand raised from your side. Yeah, Christopher, any question from your side? You can unmute yourself. Okay. All right. Yeah, I do see some questions in the chat. Okay, I hope I've answered those questions. Yeah, Telegram group and all, we will be sharing it in an email. Don't worry about it. We will be formally sending a Telegram group link in case you are interested to join. I've already sent a YouTube channel link here. You can just click on it. I know you won't be able to copy it here, but you can click on it and you can subscribe to the Telegram channel. Okay, and yeah, if you're interested in a one-on-one coaching session with me, do reach out to me one-on-one. Okay, I can talk about it. What exactly is that coaching session? I also, help people in those one-on-one coaching sessions. So if you're interested, do reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk about it as we go along. Yeah, I think we are almost at the end of the time. Yeah, it's almost 1 hour. So we are almost at the end of the happy hours of coaching session. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will come to know about future programs like this. We also, it's not only I who come on these sessions and talk about it. We also have speakers, other speakers from industry who come in, and you can see their videos also on the YouTube channel. I hope this last 1 hour of your investment was worth it. I fundamentally believe you're paid for this session. Believe me, although it was a free session, I believe that time is something which is more precious than money. You know how much you could have earned in last 1 hour, right? But you chose to stand with me. So really thankful to all of you for spending time with me. I hope this was a return roti. I use this word roti. There's an article also which I've published very recently on LinkedIn. You can read that. Roti is return on time invested. So I hope you got your roti back in that 1 hour. I know it's dinner time in India, lunchtime probably, not lunchtime in UK. I think tea, supper time in UK. And probably breakfast time in the morning in US and some parts of US. So, but anyways, thanks a lot for attending this session and asking wonderful questions. Do reach out to me if you have any further questions. And on that note, I would like to say bye for now and have a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you very much and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.